Always nice to start the year with a good war, isn't it? And the Foreign Secretary, Lord Cameron, has refused to rule out the possibility of further strikes against Houthi rebels in Yemen, arguing the UK must do what is necessary to protect its ships. On Thursday night, the UK and US launched airstrikes against a number of military facilities used by the Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen. The UK government has described the strikes as an act of self-defence after branding the attacks on commercial ships as unacceptable. So just how is the situation going to play out, and why does it matter to you and me? Let's speak to best-selling historian and historical consultant and commentator Martin Whittock. Martin, good to see you again. What a start to the year. Why does this activity in the Red Sea matter to my viewers and listeners?
Well, it matters because of, obviously, the protection of merchant shipping going through the Red Sea, the ships and the human beings, the crew on those ships. But it also has a wider impact because 25% of global trade goes through the Red Sea. At the moment, many ships are being diverted around Africa, adding 10 days to their journeys to Europe, costing millions and millions of pounds. That will be passed on to the consumer. So at a time of cost of living crisis, this is targeting ships in such a way that will make things more expensive for consumers around the world, because so much trade goes on through the Red Sea and is now being disrupted. So that is a really important impact on every single person listening to this programme.
How swiftly do you think these Houthi rebels can be dealt with, Martin?
Well, I don't think it's possible for the UK and the USA to win in this situation. The most that they can aim to do is to try to deter the Houthis. That's unlikely. Or to degrade them. That's also unlikely because they are being armed quite clearly from Iran, though Iran denies this. But it's quite clear that Iran is making a play in the context of the Israeli Gazan war at the moment to be the spokesperson of the Palestinians, and it's a supporter and supplier of Hezbollah in Lebanon, and it's also the supplier of the Houthis in Yemen, and it is locked in this struggle for dominance with Saudi Arabia. So basically, although we hope to deter and degrade them, that's not likely to happen in the long term. But what we need to do, I think, is we need to re-engage ourselves once more with the Middle Eastern peace process. This would not be happening to this extent if the appalling war was not grinding on in Gaza at the moment, because basically the Houthis are saying we're doing it on behalf of Palestinians. The Hezbollah in Lebanon are saying the same thing. This is actually giving aid and comfort to people who are causes of turbulence in the area, and the Iranians are basically positing themselves as the spokespeople for the Palestinians. So it is absolutely crucial for the West, for the allies of Israel, to do all they can to re-engage again with the peace process, which has completely broken down in the Middle East.
Oh, that's interesting, Martin. Let's quickly bring my pundits in, if we can, my Friday friends. Just a few seconds for your reaction, Laura Dodsworth. But a reminder, if you needed it, that what's happening in Gaza has global implications. Laura.
Oh, sorry. So the problem with this peace process is that Hamas does not want peace. I think that more effort needs to be brought down upon Hamas to release hostages, to surrender, and upon Hamas's allies as well. You know, you've got to remember that Hamas said that it will repeat the 7th of October again and again and again, which is why Israel is in such a difficult position. And, of course, Hamas's charter calls for the eradication of all Jews in the area and the annihilation of the State of Israel.
I agree with Laura.
And Jerry?
I agree with Laura, but it's got to go further than that. Who is the real enemy? Who's stirring up the problem in the Gaza Strip? Iran. Who are supporting the Houthis? Iran. Who are causing all sorts of trouble to shipping? Iran. We are going to have to make a decision, a strategic decision of what we're going to do. And it's going to cause all sorts of problems. But unless we deal with Iran, this is going to go on for years.
Yeah. When people are calling for peace, what they're calling for is for Israel to stop defending itself and to stop defending its people.
Martin, I've only got a couple of seconds. Do you think that what's happening in Gaza will be resolved this side of Christmas?
I think sadly not. And I think the problem with Gaza is it's happened, and Hamas must be removed, absolutely. But they've become the force they are because people have turned to them, because the peace process has broken down.
Martin, thank you so much.